Right, hello, my name is Simpson-Little and this is my video for procedural audio. In this module I decided to use pure data, as you can see on the screen, and a combination of that and Xcode to create an app. I used the Libpd library, which is available on GitHub. And yeah, I'm just going to talk you through my patch, which is just on screen now, and then I'm going to talk how I did it, how I managed to combine the two in Xcode to then run a application off my phone. So if we start at the patch, I started with, so my idea basically is, for the app was to, you can use switches on iPhone to turn things on and off. So my idea was to turn on a metronome to then be followed by a kick drum on every first beat, a snare on every third beat, hi-hat comes in on every beat, then a crash comes in. It's just to show people how you can how easy it is to get drums in time, or how easy, or not how easy it is, really. So like an example of it, my original idea would be you could then add in like a melody. So this was just so the melody doesn't sound great at the moment. However, what happens is at this point up here, this is where all the tempos sit. So if I wanted to, I could then change it. Although it sounds a bit rushed, there's a cool melody here. And then we can also slow it down a little bit. Right, I'm just going to turn them off now. Right, you can still hear those without reverb. Right, so if we head into one of my first sub patches, so move that out of the way. Perfect. Right, so what happens first, and that's it for all of them. There's a toggle at the top that's attached to sends. Sends will then be received at the top of the sub patch. There's no inputs and outputs going into the sub patch, which makes it really easy to control because they're all done inside of all the sounds come outside the sub patch and they're all powered on by each toggle. So they all are step sequences, so every time it just goes straight down into a step sequence. You can see it moving along here. As it goes, we've got the load bang to tell us where to stop and start again. So each time when it's turned off via the toggle on the other page, it will then start back again at 0 for both the counter and then when it's moving as well. So every time you click on that, it will go back. So okay. As we move down, they're all connected to different floats. What the line object does below that is allows the signal to go through in milliseconds. So that one goes in from 0 to 400 milliseconds, and the same here. I made them just two different just to imitate a classic metronome that you can get on different programs. As it goes down, the receiver is read here as well into the signal input, into like the oscillator and everything that's coming through here, and that shows you the volume for all of them as well, which can be changed. Again, load bang loads them up again, all the signals combine together and they go to the output. It's similar on each one. Different things go onto it. We've got the tempo being read on each one that's going into the metro to know which one is being received. The rest of the kick, snare, hi-hat and crash, they are all based around 8 steps. And here you select them to come on, so there's the kick coming on there, skips a few, then comes on there into the float. That's allowed through with a noise generator here with the oscillator in the background as well, which kind of gives it that pop. At the bottom it's slightly different because there's two low pass filters added, then given the value of 68 basically, which makes it a little bit, gives it that, gets rid of all the highs in it and makes it sound more like a kick. So, and we can see it moving there, just here. Same snare, very similar again. Just don't do a phaser this time, and I'm trying to I made it into and rather than a sawtooth, into a triangle wave as well. Let's try and get that. Try and get that fuzz out of there, but still need that high note as you hit on the snare. It doesn't sound amazing, because that's only playing the phaser, but when it goes on it doesn't sound too bad. So it's exactly the same again, it hits the noise and phaser and goes straight down into a high pass filter this time as well. Same again for the hi-hat, same high pass filter is very similar. Each one, they all sound a little bit different. This here, in this line one, you notice it's a lot bigger, that letting of that. That's an open hi-hat, but with the snare it didn't sound quite right, but I still left it in there. So, crash again, straight down here as well. Slightly higher high pass filter. On each individual, you'll notice there's another sub patch just before the output. It's a reverb generator. So each side, each delay is representing a side of a four-walled space, basically. And each one can be triggered there, changed there, and written there to go output left and right. Ideal to go straight into the output. We then reach the melody. So I know it sounds really odd. At first, this was the melody. So I just chose Sweet Child of Mine at the riff at the beginning, just as something to add to try and make it into a rock song. So if I connect the patch up here, connect it here, and then turn it on. So what that did there, it also played the other melody, but it did then read this. So this is what it used to sound like, just the Sweet Child of Mine riff, 32 notes in there, and I did them all through frequency. So counted all of them out and converted them into the note frequency. Now, as well, it made it very complicated. It took forever to type them out, and when I did it, I knew there was a simpler way to do it. So what I decided to do was scrap that, but I kept it because it took me so long. Scrap that and use something called Unpack, and used MTOF more importantly as well, which made it a lot easier to convert. So these are all MIDI numbers. This one here happens to be Sweet Child of Mine again because I couldn't quite let it go. These are just random notes I've inputted. The best part of this is, so in each one you can see the number boxes change. I'll check that. So that's why the number boxes are there, just so I can see which one's turning on. The tempo represents which tempo here represents which melody is being played. So like the fast one is Sweet Child of Mine. It's just a random melody in there, random melody in there. I tried to make them sound as weird and kooky as possible by using weird bandpass filter, adding some mad reverb to it. Trying to make them sound like they could be some really weird game, apart from Sweet Child of Mine. So every time I click each tempo, it comes on and off. It then converts them from MIDI to frequency and goes straight through my phaser, all the way down to the bandpass filter, straight into the reverb, back out of the output. It all starts again exactly the same as before. This is just counting. So if we press play on this, let's go on that. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and then we can change it. There we go, that sounds a bit better. The others were random. Let's turn that off. Right, so once we've got all that sorted, what I'd need to do is compile it into Xcode. Now, if I get up my Xcode project just here. So I did it in Objective-C, and that made it lovely and difficult. So first off, you had to create a normal Xcode project, and you had to add in the Libpd project here. It has all the wrappers inside of it, all the pure data, and it implements it for you. However, it's not quite as simple as that. It'll already come up with a delegate here. However, you have to add in each patch to tell Xcode and their main storyboard exactly what you need, and exactly the same with view controller. We have to connect all these four together, enable main and storyboard to be together. See, my patch is just in there, which makes it really easy to pull this up. So if I click on my storyboard here, so this is, oh, there we go. So this here is my main page on the phone that will come up. You turn on the metronome, then you pick your tempo, then you pick the kick, snare, add everything in, you add your theme, and then you can change it all around. How I did this, first off, was, so what I had to do is connect each switch here to my view controller. So, and that is done by holding down control, and then that appears. So, oh no, I don't want to do that. I really don't want to break it. But, so that one, for example, the metronome, is connected to this bottom one here. So it just gives us that switch. It's like, it's not a strong switch or anything like that, just an average switch. What I then need to do before going on anything else, I would then head into here. So what I need to do at that point, so if we just notice this one here, the same with metronome, I would declare that on-off metronome, the name of the send, the name of the toggle, is Boolean, and it also means yes and no. Then I would go down to here, and I'd have to declare, so get it up again, the yes and no meant it was on. And here it was being received, the signal was being received, and then it turned to on. It means yes, and it is on, or it is, when it is off, it is no. Finally, heading back on to the view controller, let's go back on storyboard. Heading back onto our view controller with metronome. Here we go. Where we do it before, we then do exactly the same, control, click, and we move it down. So if we get up metronome just here, it's then just confirming that the switch is then on, and it's changing the metronome, and then it's turning it on, basically. Or when it's off, it's off. I did mine throughout switches because I thought it would be the easiest route, and it was. Then, so I just use metronome as an example, however that was done for every single one. Due to me not I completed the patch in steps and then would upload it and see how it sounded. So it would involve like me taking the patch back out of it, and it involves quite a lot of struggle to get it back in, basically. Because Libpd, although it was fantastic to use and it was great fun once it was implemented, implementing it was a very hard part of this module. So there's one error at the top there. We are going to ignore that at the moment. So at the moment, that is for this empty view controller. All it's telling me is that it's empty, and it's telling me to ignore it, basically, or actually do something about it, but I'm just going to leave it for the moment. That is the only error in the project, which is fantastic. Now, all I've got to do now is left for me to run the project.